You can now get a 30-day trial to experience The Athletic for free. Visit the link in the description below to try it now.
Hello, welcome back to Tifo IRL. I'm JJ Bull, and in this video, we're going to look at Barcelona and ask whether they have a golden generation, a new crop of wonder kids. This is currently one of the sort of teams that they've been playing under Ronald Koeman, who's now fired, but it could look very different. Here's the wonder kids coming through from La Masia. Well, Pedri was signed from Las Palmas, but he is essentially a wonder kid at Barcelona, very young. Ansu Fati, one of the best young players in the world, absolutely incredible. I think he's just about to turn 19, or he is 19. Phenomenal player. Yusuf Demir is a wonder kid on loan. He's Austrian, left-footed, likes to dribble inside, not particularly quick, so doesn't go in behind people, likes to play inside here. Not sure Barcelona will pick him up and take him on a permanent deal. Xavi has broken into the team, already has a Spain cap. He's sort of a midfielder. He can play off this left side as well, but he is a central midfielder, it's quite attacking. And Serginho Dest is a young American fullback who can play on the left or he can play on the right, very attacking. And Alejandro Balde has broken into the team under Ronald Koeman as well as a very attacking left wing back. And if you compare the sort of players they have, it's not the ideal way to do it. But the reason this could be a golden generation is that you have a midfield, or Nico's the last one I missed, he's like Sergio Busquets, very tall, plays alongside this 6-yard box kind of bit, doesn't tend to go outside of that, dictates play, comes deep to help with build up, plays short passes, good at progressing play. So this is a really solid midfield that Barcelona can build around. Now the weak point I'd say is probably Yusuf Demir, but there's reasons they've got all these sorts of players, and the reason they signed Dest in particular is because Barcelona, it seems to have, in their recruitment, looked to sign the sorts of players that are supposed to fit the way that they play. So Barcelona, when you learn at La Masia, let's draw the way La Masia, the way they coach their young players. There we go, I've drawn the board. This is sort of what the training pitch might look like at La Masia. It's the kind of thing that Cruyff put in place at Barcelona, the kind of thing Guardiola then obviously made quite famous and introduced to places like Bayern Munich and things like that. So the way it works is that you're not meant to have any more than 2 players in one vertical space. So Dest and Demir can play in this one vertical space here, but you can't also have more than 3 in one horizontal space. So Demir, Memphis and Fati can play this bit here, Xavi and Pedri can play here, Dest, Nico and Balde can play along this line, and Garcia and Piqué might be sort of here. So when you move up the pitch, you always make sure you have these spaces filled the same way and abide by the laws of this, of the way this was built. So we put 2 wing backs up here, for example. So Dest, Memphis and Balde can keep this 3 here. Fati and Demir now, which means Pedri can come into this sort of bit here. And Xavi might come in here, because you have no more than 2 in one space. Nico will then swap around between where these guys are to help with the play and stop counterattacks. And Garcia and Piqué basically just make sure that you always have triangles wherever you're going. So if Dest is up here, Xavi might need to move out here sometimes to make sure you keep a triangle between like these guys here, you see? Demir and Garcia, this sort of thing. Meant to be triangles all over the pitch. And at La Masia, the players that come through know this intrinsically, that this is automated. So they know that if someone moves someplace that they weren't before, they have to rotate and fill that position. And it's why some Barcelona players are amazing at Barcelona, but they're not very good when they move elsewhere. I can't think of an example off the top of my head. Bojan Krkic, the guy who went to Stoke and was always thought of as being a really highly talented player, just wasn't as good outside of Barcelona. Because if the players know this style very inside out, they're able to execute it as though automated, and opposition teams can't, well, they can stop them, but it's very difficult. And when you have outsiders that come into it, this is what Barcelona have had recently, it tends to disrupt things and slows things right down. So if you put in like Pedri, take Pedri out, Frenkie de Jong, from a similar sort of academy at Ajax, more of a shuttler, and will end up often being like in a 4-2-3-1 like this. And Memphis might pull up here. Then you've got, if you take Xavi out and put in, not Xavi, put in, what's his name, Coutinho here. And then maybe Demir and Fati are up here. It's not, you can abide by some of the similar rules, but it's not the way that Barcelona are meant to play. And when you bring in the players who don't know exactly when to go where and don't have the pace to get on the outside and stretch the play, opposition defences can full back and fall back and block all the space, which means that the ball has to go wide, which is where Koeman had his troubles with another video in Tifo IRL about this, where the ball has to come in all the time. And then if you've got the balls coming in from wide, you need a target man who's bigger than Memphis Depay to try and get in the end of it. But the other thing is that Barcelona are supposed to play these sorts of balls from crosses. So if you get up high here, you get right to the line and you play short crossbacks to here. Because if you have players like Dest who do this, you know that you're going to have players, not Coutinho, because he's not used to this sort of thing. Let's put in Ansu Fati. Demir goes away, Pedri, Nico, De Jong goes away, Xavi. So for years and years and years, Xavi will have known that if Dest is going to be making this sort of run here, that he needs to pull up a position here. So the strikers are all going to look to try and get on the end of this sort of position here, as though it's here. But Barcelona players know that Xavi is going to be the one who gets it from a short cutback because they don't play high balls into the box. They also look for things like 1-2s. So intrinsically, Fati, Pedri, like Fati has scored a goal against against Valencia recently, where they play this sort of move. It's all about the 1-2, like a hidden 1-2. So he'll take on a full back like this, and it look like he's going to play a pass into Memphis in behind, like this sort of ball here. And we covered this in another video as well. Memphis will look like he's going to make this sort of run, but the ball is a disguised through ball. You think Memphis is going to try and run on goal and shoot, but he doesn't. He plays a reverse pass. Fati comes onto it and bang into the bottom corner from there. And these are the sorts of things, these sort of rotations that you can coach other players to learn over time. And when you bring in good players like Coutinho, they can learn that. But the ones from La Masia understand it completely. And so when you have, like, if you think like Dest, get rid of Dest and put in Dani Alves, that's basically what he was supposed to do. Not as good a player, but Alves did this role perfectly, making sure he was always in the right space at the right time. If you take out PK, say, and put in Araujo, who's a young defender who's been getting to the team as well, very aggressive, a bit more like Puyol was. Instead of PK, you've got Eric Garcia, not very strong on the ball, not very good defensively, I would say just now, but excellent with the ball and progressing play. Nico replaces Busquets. Balde replaces Jordi Alba, who is still playing. We'll put him in there. Nico goes off for Busquets. And then you've got Pedri, who is basically what Iniesta was. He is that good. Xavi would be what Xavi does. And then you've got Ansu Fati, who does exactly what Messi does, not quite as well yet, from the left side rather than the right side. So then you would think, rather than Messi, who's not going to get on the team, Pedro being the guy on the right you'd need to have in, because rather than, well, you can't have Demir, he's not done a job for them, and that's their weak point, is the right side of midfield, and they can sign a player if they got any money. That's where they'd need to improve, is be this right-sided player who comes in onto their left foot. And then up front, Memphis can play as a false nine to complete this sort of movement. Pedro's not there, obviously, but, or neither is Xavi or Iniesta. But this is the thing, they've got the players in place. They're not as bad as we think they are. Whoever comes in as coach next has a really strong generation of players. Nico, Pedri, Xavi, Balde, Dest, not Pedro. One more player here, and that's quite a solid team. So Barcelona, I think, have something of a golden generation coming through. It's not going to be the same as Iniesta, Xavi, Messi, because that's one of a kind, but they could turn into a very solid team very quickly under the right coaching.
Tifo merge, coming to find what you're looking for. Tifo merge, put it on your body and drink out of it. From the grasslands of Australia to the peaks and plains of Antarctica and through the rivers of North America comes a shop of merch that is so damn cool that it's really cool. So cool you have to buy all the merchandise. Buy the merchandise. Come in and buy all our merchandise. Merchandise. Looky right here, there's merchandise. Put your merchandise. Gotta get your hands on the merchandise. Merchandise. Buy the merch.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic brings you the best sports journalism in the world in a personalised experience, connecting you with the stories and teams that you care about the most. There's coverage of 13 sports, plus direct access to world-class journalists through live Q&As, discussions and podcasts. Not to mention, it's all ad-free. And you can try it now for free for 30 days by clicking the link in the description.